Hi, I'm Jeff Ehret. I'm president of the Penta Building Group, and I first want to thank you for taking the time out to watch this important safety video. As president of the company, I first want to take a moment to emphasize that safety is absolutely Penta's #1 priority. It's the benchmark we use each and every year to determine how well we've done and whether we've had a good year or not. It's not money, it's safety. Now, you're about to watch a video of a gentleman who is very skilled in his craft, but I'm going to give you a little spoiler alert here. He went through a terrible accident, and ultimately he determined that he had no one but himself to blame for the accident that left him disfigured. So the message here is you need to be personally responsible for your own safety. That's the first thing you need to take away from this orientation, and if we can get each and every one of you to do that, we will be well on our way to having a successful project. And I want to thank you for this moment I want to thank you for this, for your time, and I hope you enjoy the video.
My name is Charlie Moorcraft, and I used to work for Exxon USA, and I worked for them for about 27 years. And I was an operator, and I worked out in the field, and I worked in a gasoline blending or oil movement for most of my career at Exxon. Basically, I made gasoline, you know. But I'm also the guy who always thought that safety meetings were for sleeping, safety equipment was for wimps, and that if you knew your job, you could take shortcuts without any problems, and that an accident would never happen to me. And if an accident did happen to me, the only one that would be hurt by it would be me, nobody else, you know. I used to kid my wife all the time that if something did happen to me, she would be rich, because I was worth much more money dead than alive, you know. And I believed all of that until the night of August 8th, 1980. A little past midnight, I drove out into the refinery I drove out into the tank field of the refinery that I worked to pull a blank. Now, this is a job I'd done 1,000 times before. It's a job I could have done in my sleep, which is where I should have been if I wasn't so hungry for overtime and so full of my own super abilities and arrogance. Well, in minutes, all of the beliefs, all of the myths that I ever held about safety literally went up in smoke. I drove out into the tank field of my truck, and I came back in an ambulance. Now, most of you heard the details of my accident, so I'm not going to go over them a second time. Let me just tell you that it was excruciating. And not just for a day or for a week or for a year, but for 5 years. I wish I had a nickel for every moment I prayed to die in that 5-year period. And in case you've forgotten what excruciating looks like and what it looks like when you get burned over 45 to 50% of your bodies, let me show you this. And hopefully you can see that. I don't know if you can see the direct line here where the scars stop. Well, this is where I had rolled up the sleeves of my flame retardant clothing, because I always thought that safety equipment was uncomfortable. Well, this is what's uncomfortable. These scars are what's uncomfortable. And I'm going to have to look at that for the rest of my life. So as I usually say, it's really your choice what you do about your safety equipment. And it was excruciating not just for me. It was excruciating for my wife. It ruined our marriage. It went right down the drain. We wound up getting divorced. It was excruciating for my children, who felt my pain as deeply as I did. And for one of my daughters, who attempted suicide right after my accident. It was excruciating for my mother, who also felt my pain. And for my father, who had a heart attack right after seeing me in the hospital. But you know what's most excruciating? Is knowing that it didn't have to happen. It shouldn't have happened. And that's really why I'm here today, to tell you why it shouldn't have happened. See, there was somebody there that day who could have helped me to avoid this accident. He was there, he was watching, he let it happen. The guy had more than 15 years of company experience. He knew all the procedures, and he knew I wasn't going to follow them. He stood by and watched as I left my safety glasses behind in the control house. The safety glasses that would easily have protected me from being splashed in the eyes with the chemical that would temporarily blind me and start the whole chain reaction. He watched as I left my truck running in a highly volatile area, the truck that would ignite the chemical and turn me into a human torch. He knew I should have shut the truck off, but he didn't say a word. Who was this guy who refused to accept responsibility for my safety and well-being? Well, you're looking at him. It was me. I spent 5 years in a hospital. I devastated my family. I lived 5 years in hell because I didn't understand that the person who was ultimately responsible for my safety wasn't my mother or father, wasn't a safety guy, wasn't a guy working next to me. It was me. I was ultimately responsible.
Hello, I'm Steve Jones, Vice President of Field Operations for the Penta Building Group. A few moments ago, you just heard from our President, Jeff Eric, talking about the importance of accepting personal responsibility in regards to safety on a project job site. I couldn't agree more, and I believe every bit of that. There is another part of safety which I feel may be as important, if not much more important, and that is the caring and concern that you need to show for your fellow workers on the project site. This happens to be the SLS project that we're working on now, and we probably have 750 workers on site. So you can imagine the issues that can come up if we don't work together in regards to safety, plan our task activities, and execute those task activities safely. We're the operations personnel for the project. We create the hazards, we need to manage the hazards. And the only way we can do that successfully is by working together as a team. So please, while you're out there working safely, let's make sure to watch out for others as well. Make sure that the people that are in your immediate work zones are working safely so that they don't cause harm to themselves or anybody else around them as well. Welcome to the Penta Building Group. Thank you and have a safe day.
Each year, accidents in the workplace cause nearly 11,000 deaths in the United States and almost 2 million disabling injuries, many of them permanent and causing enormous pain and suffering for employees and their families.
2, 3, roll. On 3, 1, 2, let's lift.
Every day we have at least one person come into the emergency room with a job-related injury. The most common injuries are the result of straining the body when lifting, reaching, or being hit by a moving or falling object. Slips, trips, and falls are also common. We've also seen serious injuries caused by being caught in machines or between objects. Now, people who work with chemicals, electrical tools and equipment, splashing liquids, molten metals, or who work in places where there are loud noises also have other hazards they need to be aware of.
The best way to stay safe is to know and follow all of the safety rules set by the Nevada Occupational Safety and Health Act. They were created to allow you to do your job in a safe and healthy workplace. The Division of Industrial Relations Safety Consultation and Training Section, or SCATS, was created to help employers comply with Nevada's worker safety laws. SCATS is available to provide a workplace hazard assessment at no cost to employers, suggesting ways to minimize hazards. SCATS also offer free safety training and informational programs to Nevada employers. It is your responsibility to know and support your employers in the implementation of safety rules, regulations, and standards to create and maintain a safe workplace. It's time that we all change our behavior to ensure job safety. To do this, all employers must select someone to administer and enforce occupational safety and health programs in your workplace. Employers are responsible for providing proper training in the safe use of equipment and machinery, personal protective gear, hazard recognition, and emergency procedures. Your employer is responsible for informing you of the safety rules, regulations, and standards which apply to your duties. Your employer must maintain accurate accident, injury, and safety records and reports and make these files available to you and representatives of Nevada Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or OSHA, upon request. The Nevada Occupational Safety and Health poster must be displayed in a prominent place on the job site. It is your employer's responsibility to immediately report all job-related fatalities, as well as those accidents wherein multiple employees require hospitalization to Nevada OSHA. Nevada employers with 11 or more employees must establish a written workplace safety program. A safety committee is required if you have more than 25 employees in the state, or if your employer is engaged in the manufacture of explosives. Your employer must acquire and maintain workers' compensation insurance at all times, leaving you the responsibility of filing these claims. Your employer must provide newly hired employees with a copy of this videotape or the accompanying brochure documents setting forth the rights and responsibility of employers and employees to promote safety in the workplace. And he or she must keep a signed copy of the attached receipt in your personnel file to show that you've been made aware of these rights and responsibilities. Keep in mind, employers can't create a safe workplace alone. They need your help and support. It's your responsibility to think and act job safe. Here's what you need to do to stay safe on the job. Wear or use all personal protective equipment required by your employer. Keep all safety devices or machine guards in place. If you remove them and get hurt, you will lose some benefits. If you do not know how to safely use tools, equipment, or machinery, be sure to ask your supervisor. If you see something that is unsafe, be sure you report it to your supervisor. Give your employer a chance to fix the problem. If you think the unsafe condition still exists, it's your right to file a confidential complaint with Nevada OSHA. If you file a safety and health complaint and are punished or treated unfairly by your employer, there are laws to protect you. You have 30 days from the date of punishment to file a discrimination complaint with Nevada OSHA. Most on-the-job injuries are covered by workers' compensation insurance. Coverage begins the first minute you're on the job. It is your responsibility to report any on-the-job injury immediately. Your employer must file a first report of injury form within 6 working days of the accident. Remember, it is fraud to file a claim if you are not injured on the job. Filing a false claim will result not only in loss of benefits, but could mean costly fines and/or jail time. Creating a safe workplace really is everybody's business. Do what you can to make sure job safety works. For more information or to obtain copies of the safety and health standards and regulations, contact SCATS or Nevada OSHA.
Hello, my name is Joel Wallace, Senior Vice President of Penta Building Group. As you watch throughout these videos, safety is the #1 priority for the Penta Building Group. During the course of any project, we partner with OSHA, SCATS, and other safety organizations to assist in the safety of every employee. Now, these organizations have minimum standards for safety. The Penta Building Group has really one minimum standard, and that is that every employee that comes to our site goes home the same way they came and gets to go home safely to their family. Remember, when you head out to the job site, safety is a culture, not a process. It has to be lived every day. So when you're out there performing your tasks, make sure that you're doing them safely to ensure that you get to go home along with your fellow co-workers every day. Again, thank you for watching this video and helping us reach our goals of 0 lost time incidents, and that's the only way everyone gets home safely. Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Charlie Moorcraft, and I just wanted to say a few things about an amazing contractor that I've had the chance to partner with for the past several years now, the Penta Building Group. First of all, I would like to congratulate Penta on receiving the NCA AGC's Safest Contractor of the Year award. This is quite an accomplishment, and having worked in the field of safety for as long as I have now, I have seen and actually had the chance to work with lots of good contractors, but there are very few that are ever recognized with such a prestigious title as the safest. I spent many years after my accident working in the safety and health field, and I can certainly attest to the hard work and dedication that it takes to achieve this level of safety. There are always challenges to achieving excellence in any area of life, and safety is definitely not without its fair share. You are constantly having to deal with employee attitudes and behaviors that have been cultivated, ingrained, and accepted for years as the way we've always done it. Or, I've been doing it this way for years and never had a problem philosophy. But Penta has shown, with the right attitude and commitment to truly care for its employees, it can be accomplished. After all, it isn't every construction company that has the top-down support that Penta has, and from every level of executive management. From Penta's president himself, Jeff Arriet, to perhaps its most ardent champion of safety, Penta's vice president of field operations, Steve Jones, and its vice president of operations, Joel Wallace. The entire management is completely focused and committed to making safety the #1 priority of the entire company. It's no surprise that Penta is such a tremendous leader in construction safety. So again, congratulations, Penta, on being named the Safest Contractor of the Year. Second, I would like to say what an honor it is to have been selected as a partner with Penta for so many years now, to have had the opportunity to share my story with literally tens of thousands of employees who have attended their safety orientations. I could never have imagined that the tragic events that occurred in my life could ever have resulted in the benefit of so many other lives, and that those events and my experiences would have helped to motivate and encourage them to work more safely. Many times in my life, many times, I've looked back at all those experiences that have shaped me into what I have become today. That person that I am on the inside as well as the outside. And each time I have to thank God for giving me the grace to use my tragedies and even some of my victories to help others achieve a healthier and happier life. Penta, like me, is interested in the safety and well-being of people. They generally care about people. Otherwise, they wouldn't spend the time, the money, and all the effort to create the culture that they've created. So aside from congratulating everyone there at Penta for the recent safety award, I really want to commend Penta for their vision and commitment in partnering with me in helping each of you create your own personal culture of safety excellence. And now on a personal note. You know, I've talked to you before about being in a hospital for 5 years and missing my children growing up. Well, today I'm a grandfather. And from the day my granddaughter was born, all I wanted to do was take that kid to Disney World. That's all I wanted to do. But I wanted her to be old enough to be able to enjoy Disney World. And I guess when she was finally 6 or 7 years old, I got the chance to take her to Disney World. And of all the rides in Disney World, all the great rides they have, what do you think she liked the best? Besides Dumbo and It's a Small World and God knows what else. What do you think she liked the best? Well, it was a sliding pond at the swimming pool that we were staying in. You know those curly sliding ponds? And all that kid wanted to do all day was to go down that sliding pond. I could have bought her a sliding pond. But she can't swim that well. And she kept yelling for somebody to come and catch her. She kept yelling, "Grandpa, Grandpa, come and catch me." But Grandpa couldn't go and catch her, because Grandpa just got out of the hospital and had his arm operated on. And I couldn't get her. This is almost 30 years after my operation, and I can't pick up my own granddaughter. That's the price you pay for an accident. That's the price. Thanks again, Penta, for allowing me to be part of your team, to share in your success, and for caring so deeply about safety. Keep up the safe work, everyone.
Hi, my name's John Canito. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for the Penta Building Group. So far you've heard from Jeff Arrett, our President, Steve Jones, our Vice President of Field Operations, and Joel Wallace, our Senior Vice President of Operations. Jeff emphasized that safety is our #1 priority. Steve talked about teamwork and watching out for each other on the job sites. And Joel laid out our goals of no injuries. And he described safety as a culture, not just a process. If there's one thing I can add that'll bring it all together, it would be that we mean what we say. Our commitment to safety is real, and we're asking you to make that same commitment. Thank you, and be safe.